Well, here I am, mustered in the lockup, with not particularly good news. I've got to make some changes in order to keep going. Many people who watch my videos will know some of my circumstances aren't absolutely fantastic. The YouTube earnings are doing better than selling cars or parts. The YouTube earnings aren't loads. I have advertised Mrs. Doyle, that is the Rover 416 Tourer, on Facebook, and nothing's really happened. Today I put it on Car and Classic. Maybe that will work. I've also advertised the MGF and I've had no replies. So what I've got to do next is advertise the Audi A6. That car over there. Yes, and I know I said I wouldn't sell it, but needs must. Unless Mrs. Doyle happens to sell beforehand, I'm going to have to just do it. 2005 Audi A6 C5 Avant. Turbo diesel. Yes. I don't even know how much it's worth. But somehow I think this car would sell better and easier than the Rover. I will be getting to something a bit more interesting quite soon. But also, Nigel, I did toy with the idea of selling the car that could never be sold, provided that it was going somewhere where it would be kept safe, and when I can afford to buy it back, I would buy it back. It's a truly shocking example of a Rover 25, because it's not one anymore. Anyway, the very idea of selling this car came with so much resistance from my two little people that it's really not worth the stress. Now this car here doesn't need a great deal for its MOT, as I've discovered, and you'll discover in the next episode of Neville. However, the MOT still needs paying for, and the couple of things that I think it needs will need paying for, and I can't do those things just yet. I have been in contact with Driver Hire in Oldham about getting some work. That's going to be my only option. If I can do a couple of days a week, that would be perfect. The only thing is, last time I did this, I ended up falling into the trap of doing every day, and then suddenly what I was doing down here didn't happen at all. The next step is actually someone's offered to pay me to write them a theme tune for their YouTube channel. That's not going to be enough to pay the rent, but it's at least something. I've taken some pictures of the interior of Alexander the Audi, but I want to take some external pictures now that I've washed it, somewhere a bit nicer than the yard. The weird thing is though, I wasn't expecting this at all, but I've become quite attached to this car. I really do. I like it much more than I was expecting. And I've said previously that I didn't really thought it just make perfect sense for me to just keep this car as the family car. It really does. You can't live in the car, can you? So, as Mrs. Doyle hasn't sold, this one has to do. It's as simple as that, really. Where'd you go to photograph a car though? Because a yard, obviously, you know, you've got stuff in the background, there's skips, there's containers, it's all right if you're trying to advertise a Mercedes, but something like this, where you want to expand upon the middle class feel of the car, containers and skips and shit in the background doesn't really do it. No, what you really want is a nice, lovely house, a lovely driveway. But I haven't got one, so I'll have to use somebody else's. But then again, that's not entirely right either, because that's theirs. I mean, what would you think if some chap just turned up at your lovely house, parked in your drive, and then started taking pictures of their car there? Would you be offended, or would you be upset, or would you just be somewhat flattered and say, "Oh, wonderful! Yeah, I'm glad you feel this way about my house." If you live on a main road, it's not too good. If you live in a less than nice area, it's not too good. And that's why I think most people, when it comes to taking pictures of a car that they want to sell, they want to do it nicely. They'll go and take it to a park or somewhere that's ever so slightly man pulled out in front of me then. It kind of made me lose my clutch control. There we go, the beach there. Now, what would be wrong with taking pictures of your car outside a nice, expensive pub? Well, a couple of things really. One is it may look like you're into drink driving, or the other is that you don't live anywhere. A lovely country pub though. Yeah, a lovely country pub. Still, it kind of, the trouble is, you can take a picture of your car anywhere other than outside your home or at work. It looks like you're embarrassed by where you either live or work. So, to go somewhere else, say where you may be having a family day out anyway, and take pictures, would suggest that you like this car an awful lot. Every time you stop, you look at it and think, oh, I just want to take a picture of that. And if you really enjoy your car, then that's actually a good possibility, isn't it? Personally, I think the worst place you can take a picture of your car to advertise it for sale would be a petrol station. I've seen this an awful lot, a car in a petrol station at night time. And what that suggests to me is that that car has just been bought, and that's the first opportunity they've had to take a picture of it, and therefore it's going to look a bit like, it isn't cared for. They don't know anything about it. They just want to shift it on quickly. So they're either after a bit of quick money, or they want to get rid of something that they believe is actually a liability. There's a caravan park. Yeah, that's not really going to work, is it? Two really good places I can think of that would make an excellent backdrop for your photograph would probably be at a car show that isn't at night time and isn't surrounded by hooligans, but just nice people with similar cars, or underneath a viaduct. This hasn't worked out quite as well as I was expecting. I thought there was going to be somewhere nice down here, but it's just turned into a private road. I'm going to go into the Hollingworth Lake Nature Reserve place and just take some pictures there. That should be okay. It's just got me thinking though about the worst things you could do in photographs. The really worst things. I know I've done a video a bit like that once before, in fact about 3 years ago. I'd quite like to do it again. I really would. In fact, I'm going to do just thought some really, really dreadful examples, such as, well, two things I've seen. One is a picture of a car and then somebody stood behind it with doing the finger, the birdie thing, you know. It's going to make most people think, no thanks, no, I think I'll bother. Or how about with a parking ticket displayed on the windscreen, or a wheel clamp? Yeah, this is kind of perfect because it looks a bit like all I've done is just come out with the family for a nice day out somewhere in the countryside, and whilst here thought, oh, look at my car, let's have a picture of that. Doesn't it look lovely? Right, pictures taken. Time to carry on with what else I'm doing today, and that is thinking about hopefully something else selling instead, because I don't particularly want to sell this car. So whilst we're at it, the MGF, that can sell, that can go. That'll be replaced easily enough when I want one. Nigel, I'm not going to sell it. Come on, I can't sell it. I will get into so much trouble. But I am really keen on the idea of hiring it out for whatever reason. If you want to use Nigel, rather than just asking, you put some money into my PayPal account or my bank account and come along and collect it for as long as you want. And yeah, as long as you look after it, you warm the engine up before thrashing it, or preferably not thrash it at all, and have some fun with it. Yeah, Nigel on hire. In case you're interested, and you should be, my email address is in the description. That's where you can contact me with any other questions or suggestions, or do PayPal. Something really rather curious today though, and that is that there's a chap whose car I did a test drive on, and he's got this YouTube idea that's rather interesting, rather good. I reckon it's the kind of thing that could take off. I've not seen anything quite like it before. Anyway, he asked me if I could do like a theme tune for him. Yeah, for his intro. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. And he said, I'll pay you to do it. So right, okay, great. Anyway, I plugged my keyboard in and just knocked something out that I thought was suitable, and he really liked it. So I've sent it to him, and that is that. And that reminds me that there was a point where I did offer like ringtones. My music, all the music in my videos is mine. It's music that I have created on my cheap keyboard. I've not done anything that new for a while, but I've done loads of the stuff because it was pretty much every time I was making a video, I would just knock a new tune out. So if anybody would be interested in sort of refined versions of the tunes in my videos, then ask in the email. Send me an email and tell me which tune you want, and just give me a donation. And I think that that is the end of this video. Let's go home and now advertise this car. Right, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for being a channel member, thank you for liking. No thank you for disliking, because that is pure evil, and all it does is drag down my possibilities of being viewed a little bit more by YouTube's algorithm, therefore making it more likely that I won't earn any money out of it. So thank you for not doing that. Bye bye. Here is a space in the yard that I normally park my Audi A6 Avant. Not anymore though. Only 2 hours after having advertised this car for sale, it was sold. But not because of the advert, but because of my friend Johnny No Scoops, who has an interest in it. An interest enough to, well, pull my pants down with his offer. But that's fair enough. I had to sell. I had to do something. It was either this or Mrs. Doyle, and I know who my subscribers would prefer. I sold. So there we have it. The end of an episode that had barely got started. Necessity drew a conclusion to this particular story, and that's it. Book closed and put back on the bookshelf for future reference. I will really miss Alexander Audi, because that was a fantastic car, and many of the British car enthusiasts don't want to hear this, but that really was an excellent car. Big, handsome, reliable and economical and practical, and it was the family wagon that was perfect. But what's more important than having a nice big car to drive around in, and that is having a nice dry home to live in. Priorities. Live by them or end up on the streets. Now, my Rover 620, called Harry Seacombe, Sir Harry Seacombe, CBE, is my daily car now, whereas it was just my fun car. See how much fun I'm going to have by using it every day. Living the 90s.